Morning, everyone. Today is the 25th day of the month of Adar. Still in the month of Adar. Marbe Mesimcha, Steve. In today's lesson, we're going to continue chapter 37 on page 63 in the Chayenu. Today is Tuesday. Good day. In today's lesson, the totality of the Jewish people's effect, meaning infuse. When the totality of the Jewish people affect their own animal-like soul with godliness, they thus affect and elevate the world at large. So you think you're just doing something good, you're overcoming your temptations, or you're enhancing your day by eating healthy and doing the right things and doing a mitzvah with that energy that you received from the food that you ate. Okay, great, wonderful. But little did you know that you're actually affecting the entire world. The result is a global transformation when Hashem and His godliness will pervade the entire world. Worldliness. So that's huge, guys. Once we become the chariot to do Hashem's work, we stop worrying about our ego and what we need and what's important to us, and we realize what's important to Hashem is really the main purpose, and we serve Hashem with bitul. So not just our little the surroundings or our little world that we live in, meaning our day to day, but the world at large, which now consists of klipas nega, which is neutral, will emerge from its impurity and sickness, and will now become holiness. So the whole world is going to be affected by our mitzvah. You take a coin, you put it in the charity box, you think, okay, maybe I'm helping one person and I'm doing a mitzvah. No, it has a much greater effect, a ripple effect. But we have to be totally bottled, totally given over to everything that we're supposed to do. And then we become chariots for Hashem upon the revelation of His glory in the world to come. And then the entire world, all flesh, will behold godliness together. So when we do our part, we're going to prepare the world for the times of Mashiach, when the entire world will see Hashem. The glory of Hashem will fill the entire world. So everyone, not just you or the Jewish people, but the entire world will see the glory of God. We'll be able to see Hashem eye to eye, just like we saw when we talk about seeing God. We're not talking about seeing God, but we're talking about seeing the revelation of God, just like it was on Har Sinai during the time of the giving of the Torah on Mount Torah. The pasuk says, "You showed yourselves so that it be known that Hashem is the Lord, and there's nothing else besides Him." But whereas the revelation at Sinai lasted only a very short time, we couldn't handle it then, right? Expired. Hashem had to revive us. In the future, the revelation will be permanent. We'll all be able to see and experience godliness. All the unclean klippas of the world will be annihilated and nullified and now become holy. The nurture and vitality which they now receive from holiness comes to them only by way of klipas nega, the intermediary between them. So klipas nega, let's call it the neutral klippa, which contains both good and evil, is the medium through which these klippas, which are completely evil, receive their vitality from godliness, which is completely good. And when klipas nega ascends to godliness, the impure klippa is no longer having any access to godly vitality, will then cease to exist. And it comes out, kikol tachlis. Shel Yemais HaMashiach, L'tchias HaMeisim, Shu Gilik Vaydei Velikusoi, Yisborech, Lavir Ruach Tumah Min Haaretz. Lavir Ruach Tumah Min Haaretz. It follows, therefore, that the purpose of when Mashiach comes in the times of Mashiach and Tchias HaMeisim, which is the revelation of Hashem's glory completely and openly will be the banishment of the impure spirit from the earth. That's going to be one of the effects of Mashiach. So the cause is our mitzvahs. The effect is Mashiach and impurity being banished from the world, and only godliness being revealed in the world. What is it dependent on? So all this, the coming of Mashiach, the banishment of the evil, godliness everywhere in a revealed state, all depends on our drawing down godliness and the eternal light of Hashem upon all of the 248 limbs of the general soul of Israel, which we're going to talk about in a moment. And this is achieved by performing the 248 positive mitzvahs. Lavi ruach hatuma mimeno b'shmirasa kol shasa mitzvahs say shelo yinku mimeno shasa agidao. And the purpose is also dependent on our banishing the impure spirit, the three impure klippas from the vital general soul of Israel. For by being banished from the vital soul, the spirit of impurity is banished from the entire world. And this is accomplished by the vital soul's observance of all the 365 prohibitive mitzvahs, preventing all its 365 blood vessels from drawing nurture from the spirit of impurity. What does this mean? Why is it that suffusing the vital soul with Ein Sof light and banishing the impure klippas from the vital soul produces a parallel effect on the entire world? For we talked about the 600,000 particular souls, which is the general source of vitality for the world as a whole, since the world was created for the sake of these souls. So there's these 600,000 Jewish general souls that we all come from, and each specific one of them contains, and to each is related, the vitality of the 1/600,000th part of the entire world. Interesting. This part of the world depends on his vital soul for its elevation to God through the vital soul's, the Nefesh HaBahamis, own elevation. So the 600, we're going to talk more about the 600,000 particular souls. The Hainu, the Ma'ash, Mishtamish, Ba'olam Hazeh, Litzayrich, Gufay V'nafshech Yunus, L'Avedas Hashem. So when you're doing a mitzvah, or you're pushing away something which you shouldn't be doing, which is a mitzvah in and of itself. Again, when we're faced with an opportunity to walk away from doing a misdeed, we're able to be mekayim a mitzvah. So not only are we doing something to ourselves and we're doing something for the future, but we're actually bringing to fruition the responsibility that we have of a portion of the world, whatever that may be, and wherever that may be. It may be in West Orange, it may be in Peru, it may be in Vietnam, it may be in Caldwell, in Gaza, anywhere in the world. It might be in Siberia. In the time when the Russians Chassidim were sent up there to rot away, and some Chassidim, I guess, lahavdil, the non-Jews, they were just miserable there. But many of the Chassidim relished the opportunity. I don't know if that's the right word, but they utilized the opportunity to daven and learn in that, that place. I was about to say God-forsaken. It wasn't God-forsaken. It was waiting for a yid to be a Mekayim mitzvah there. So, for example, Kegoin, Achilo, Shtia, V'daimehem, B'dira v'chol klei tashmishov. For example, eating, drinking, and the like, one's dwelling and all his utensils. When we utilize them for a mitzvah, and we don't utilize them for something negative, we elevate those things in that particular place at that particular time, and we bring the world to a brighter place spiritually, begashmis and beruchnis, or beruchnis and begashmis. but surely there's more than 600,000 souls. How could it be? There's, when they counted 600,000 and the Jewish people were leaving Mitzrayim, we're talking about men between the ages of 20 and 60. We're not talking about minors. We're not talking about women. We're not talking about the elderly. We're not talking about the kids. So there were like they say 3 million that walked out of Mitzrayim, right? And that was only 20% of the Yidden. By the way, if it's only 20%, how many were there before that? Yeah, there were 3 million. So it's almost as many Jews as there are today in the world. So 15 is the amount of Jews that there are today. It's crazy. That's crazy to think about it. But the point is, how can we say 600,000? Obviously, we have approximately 15 million Jews today. What about our souls? Like, we're, the rest of there's only 600,000 souls. Sure, there are more than 600,000 souls. Besides, it's quite impossible for one person to use a 600,000th of the entire world. How could I cover that kind of ground? Right? These 600, when you light the menorah, you have the shamish, right? And no, that's not a good example. Yeah, okay. The 600,000 particular souls, however, are roots. And like a root from which grows numerous branches, each root subdivides into 600,000 sparks, each spark being one neshama. Well, what I meant was take that shamish and light many flames. So it represents all the candles. So you have one flame, it doesn't diminish from the original flame to light up all these other flames. So that one of the 600,000 actually could represent hundreds of thousands of other souls. And it doesn't diminish from the originating soul from the 600,000. Does that make sense? Similarly, with the nefesh and ruach in each of the four worlds, Atzilus, Bri, Yitzir, and Asiyah, in each of these four worlds are found all three soul levels of nefesh, ruach, and neshama. So the takeaway is every single Jew is important, and each one of us has a divine purpose and responsibility for which we were created. It's our job to influence and elevate our circle of influence, and not just our job, but it's our responsibility. The world is waiting for us. So when we do that, we don't just affect ourselves. We don't just affect those around us. We affect our city, our community, our state, our country, we don't know which portion of the world that we're affecting when we say a bracha, when we daven with tefillin, when we do a good deed. So the bottom line is we have to go out of our way to make sure to accomplish, don't leave a stone unturned, because the world might be waiting for us to do that mitzvah in order to tip the scale, to bring Mashiach and bring the world to the state of perfection, the way God promised us and the way it will be, God willing, very, very soon with the coming of Mashiach. Miyad, now, mamash.